Hey everybody, Prepper Nurse 1 here. I wanted to do a video today. I'm in the camper. It's a little chilly outside, so I thought I would come into the camper and sit down and do a video. I was put in a link on my Facebook page by one of my subscribers, and Praxis Prepper, and I hope I'm saying that right, Praxis, just did a video about is raising your kids off-grid or in a prepper lifestyle abuse? Are you abusing your child doing that? So I definitely wanted to do, you know, a reply to that video and kind of give you my thoughts on the subject and stuff like that. And you know, we moved off-grid 2.5 years ago. Actually, the 22nd of this month will be 2.5 years exactly. And it is not a lifestyle that everybody would choose, obviously, because very few people are doing it. And it's not the easiest lifestyle in the world. And there's, you know, it's not normal, I guess is the right term. You know, so for kids, here's my take on it as far as like with kids go. You know, I've talked to my guys and I've asked them, how do you feel about it? And she goes, well, you know, I don't really talk a lot about it at school, you know, because you know, I don't want people to think that we're weird. And I understand that, you know, because, you know, kids are under a lot of pressure as far as trying to fit in, find their own identity, and those type of things. So, you know, that part is very difficult, okay? So I get that part of not being overly like, you know, hey, yeah, this is what I do. I mean, I do it because I really don't care. I'm an adult, and if you like it, cool. If you don't, I don't really care. But so there's a lot of judgmental people out there, and a lot of people think that you should raise your kids a certain way. And I mean, we have the Nanny State now, you know, and to a degree, I agree with a lot of things. You know, keeping kids safe, making sure that they're not being abused and those type of things. And, you know, I've had, as anybody that's followed my channel for any length of time knows, I've had 2 interactions with protective services out here. They've been called twice. I truly believe that the first time it happened, it was like right after we moved out here. I think it was in October of the year that we moved out here. I believe truly that that was my ex-wife, or somebody, she had somebody call. I honestly believe that that's who did it the first time. The second time was a year later, and the second time I absolutely believe it was a subscriber. And people say, well, how could they get your information? Believe me, you can get anybody's information that you want to get. I mean, even though I don't put it out there exactly what my address is and stuff like that, if you want to dig around enough, you can find my information. I mean, it's actually very easy. I can do it with anybody. You know, give out, you know, putting out videos, and if you you know, do certain things, people are going to be able to figure out where you are. And, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, obviously both ended up being unfounded. And my kids are happy, they're safe, they're healthy. You know, my daughter is a straight A student in school. You know, they're well fed. You know, so it's just, you know, it's people just trying to cause trouble a lot of times. And that's what it is. It's a lot of times people are just trying to cause trouble. So that is what it is. And, you know, it's, you know, I basically told them when they came the second time, I said, now this is twice in 2 years. If you come again, I will not let you in again, because now it's bordering on harassment. And the guy totally understood, and he realized right away that there was no abuse here. I mean, it was funny. I'll tell you part of the conversation. He had to talk with the kids, and I sat on the couch over here, and the kids were on this side of the table, and he was sitting over here. And he asked the kids, well, what kind of chores do you have to do? And so, you know, they kind of described some of the chores that they had to do. And so he says, well, what happens if you don't do your chores? And they said, well, we're punished. And so he was on a fishing expedition, okay? So he says to Eddie, well, what kind of punishments? And I go, Eddie, go ahead and tell him what your punishment is if you don't do your chores. He says, well, I'm not allowed to go on the computer. And so then he looks over at Heather and he goes, well, what about you? And she looks at him and she goes, I don't ever not do my chores. She goes, so I don't get punished. And so it was funny because, you know, that was, you know, he was looking for something else. I don't know what he was looking for. He was trying to find something, but there was nothing to find. So, you know, here's the thing. If you're going to, you know, is it abusive to have your kids living off grid and in the prepper lifestyle? Absolutely not. I don't think that it's abuse at all. You're teaching your kids a different way of living, a more sustainable way of living. You're teaching, you know, your child how to make a fire, how to be able to take care of themselves. You know, a lot of the lost arts that our grandparents had are completely gone now, or our great-grandparents, if you want to go back that far. You know, my grandparents grew up in the Depression era, and, you know, they had a stock pantry. I always had a stock pantry when I got older. Way before I ever became a prepper, way before I ever became an off-gridder, I always had a stock pantry because that's what I grew up with. And it just made sense to me. It was just smart. You know, people living week to week and not having food put up just for the local crazy stuff, that emergencies that happen. And they happen all the time, everywhere. I mean, you know, here in New York we have power outages and stuff like that. But you know, I'm getting off track. So, with having your kids grow up in this type of lifestyle, I think that you're doing them a service that other people could never even begin to fathom. You're teaching them to think outside the box. You're teaching them to be an individual and not just part of the collective clone that they want you to fit into that box. Like I'll tell you, like Heather has her own unique style, okay, as far as the way she dresses and stuff like that. Very conservative. She's not showing off all her goodies, okay. She has self-respect for herself, so she doesn't feel the need to do that, okay. And I'm hoping that I play a big part in that reason that she feels that way. You know, but the thing is, I encourage her to be who she is. Don't be like everybody else. I mean, like, we just had a trend. A good example is everybody was getting those Uggs. I think it was last year. Those are the ugliest shoes I've ever seen in my life, okay? But they were the trendy in thing. Well, Heather didn't want one of those. She didn't want those stupid shoes. She even said, they look ugly. I wouldn't want those. And that's the thing. She doesn't have to fit into what everybody else is doing. She's an individual. She's unique. And I'm hoping that because of the way I've lived my life and the way I am, that influence on her makes her that same way. And I think that part of it does. And I think that that's a good thing. Eddie's unique as well. He does his own thing. You know what I mean? Even with the autism, he is a unique individual. And I love that. I think that that's the best way to be. But both of them know how to start a fire. They know how to stoke a fire, bank it down, you know, do all those things to be self-sufficient. They can cook. You know, they know how to do different things. I mean, you know, those type of skills, you know, it's just they're lost. I'll give you a great example. I was in the Army, and I'm in basic training, and I was 19 years old. And I had another one of the guys comes up to me, and he says, hey, he said, could you show me how to run the washing machine? And I'm like, you don't know how to do laundry? He's like, no. I go, well, how old are you? He's like, I'm 23. I go, how do you not know how to do laundry? He says, well, my mom always did it for me. Well, my mom thought it was important that I learn how to do all those type of things. So I've been doing my own laundry since I was 12. So, I mean, you know, those are things that, you know, you need to teach your kids, you know, not coddle them in that aspect, but to teach them. And I think that that's doing them a service. I think that our society in whole is abusive to children. They are trying to put them in this box, and you have to act a certain way and this type of stuff, and have this same thought pattern of everybody else, and that's ridiculous. You know, having a free mind and thinking clearly is definitely more the way to go. So, you know, I think that the children of preppers, the children of off-gridders, hopefully their parents are more open-minded and would encourage their children to follow their own path and to be unique and not be like everybody else. And, you know, I don't know if Eddie or Heather when they get older, will want to follow this path and live off grid and do what I'm doing. I would hope that part of it stays with them and that they can understand why and realize that it's smarter. It's a better way to live. Expense-wise alone, it's a better way to live. So, but those things are going to come in time, and I'm sure that Heather will go out in the world and try to discover what she needs to discover, and I'm hoping that she comes back. Come home, come back. So who knows? I mean, time will tell. But that's life is interesting, and we need as parents to give our children opportunities. Opportunity for failure, I think, is a great term, because life is not going to be all sunshine and roses and participation trophies. That's not reality. These schools today are setting our children up for failure. They have to realize that the world is a mean, harsh place, and you got to work hard to get to where you want to be, and nobody's going to give it to you. So I just kind of want to do my thoughts on the topic, and I definitely want your guys' feedback as well and what you think. And but it's interesting. It's definitely something to think about, because if somebody doesn't agree with what you're doing, that they think that that's horrible that you would do that. So, but it's an interesting world. So anyway, guys, I'm going to jump off of here. I'm going to go back in the house and get this uploaded, and so anyway, today is, let me give you the weather forecast real quick. It's kind of overcast today, definitely much colder, and the weather's turning. I think tomorrow's high is like 34 degrees, and so we're going down. We were 26 this morning, and it was, the winds are picking up again. So interesting weather. So anyway, guys, listen, I will talk to you all tomorrow. Remember, hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every day tomorrow's not guaranteed. And remember, guys, STD. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever goals you're trying to reach, you can do it. Work at it methodically, and you can get there. And the only one that's going to stop you from doing that is yourself. And don't wallow in self-pity. People don't like to be around losers. People like to be around winners. And if you have a negative attitude, you're going to find yourself alone. And remember, life is way too short to be unhappy. If you are unhappy, change your situation. It's that easy. It really, truly is. Now, is it easy just to pick up and go? No. But if you want to truly be happy in life and you are unhappy, do something about it. Okay? I will talk to you all tomorrow. Prepper Nurse 1, out for now.